We had no idea, and he obviously explained that this had happened back in 2015. It was a single incident. It didn't happen on the farm. Happened, off the farm. The Jacob thing was heartbreaking. A lot of tears, but we were also very, 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 very proud of Jacob and the way that he came out and talked about his, getting this off his mind and chest, so that he could develop and continue his growth.
Hey guys, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is May 13th. I hope you're having a really good day. I've gotten a bunch of comments about my t-shirt. I got this for Mother's Day. My son is a humongous Jurassic World fan, or Jurassic Park World, whatever. And he wanted me to have a shirt that had dinosaurs like him, and I love it. I don't know where it came from. Maybe Target or Amazon. I'm not sure, but check Target or Amazon. Maybe you'll find it there. A lot of you guys have been asking for a follow-up about Jacob Roloff and the situation that he came forward about in regards to a former producer of TLC. And you had asked for kind of like maybe an update or if new stuff came out. And I have an update for you because Matt Roloff has broken his silence about what occurred between Jacob and this producer named Chris.
When everybody was young and we were, very protected, particularly we were worried about Molly, becoming involved in something. We had to, when we did the show, we had a number of fans that were overzealous to, get to various members of the family that they were fixated on.
So we already know that TLC is like the trash of reality television. It used to be called the Learning Channel, but more recently, the network has been in the news for a consistent headlines of all of the different people involved in the show, whether it's somebody being hired for the show that has a history of just a really spotty history, or people from the show getting arrested while they're filming, like Jeffrey Paschal from 90 Day Fiance, the recent allegations that have come over about Josh Duggar and the Duggar family, and then you have the stuff going on with Seeking Sister Wives and the Snowdens, and it doesn't seem like literally any show has any non-drama. I mean, even the Busbys were in the news because Danielle's mom got picked up for a DUI. It's a mess. Like, everything is messy on TLC, and families are messy. So we shouldn't expect that. But what we should expect is that when someone's on a show, that the trust and safety of the children on the show would be kept in mind by production and by the network. And Jacob Roloff is saying and has been screaming that children are not protected on reality television for a very long time. So he made this very bold, and I mean, honestly, it was really, I'm sure, cathartic for him. And also, I was just very proud of him for coming out and, telling everyone that when he was a child, there was a producer on the show named Chris that basically groomed him, and he was essayed by this man. And it happened when he was a kid, and he didn't go into details about what happened. He just wanted to say, like, this is what happened. I wasn't protected. And really just an sort of discussion about what happens to kids on reality television and why it's harmful and how he needs to heal. He didn't discuss going with charges. He didn't really say much of anything. And TLC kind of responded by saying, we are so sorry to hear these. Our hearts and prayers are with Jacob and the family. And Jacob then claimed that TLC never reached out to him. So he kind of feels like TLC's motives or their statement fell flat and was just all fluff and air and meaningless. And so what hadn't happened was either one of his parents saying anything, which I honestly thought was really bizarre, being that the two of them are still on the network. Their show is currently airing on TLC, and the new season's happening right now. You're still seeing Matt treat Amy like crap, berating her, degrading her. You've got, so much fakeness. I don't really feel like anything that you see on Little People Big World is even remotely real. I feel like it's probably super fake and it's probably all scripted. And Matt has even admitted that, he really does try to poke Amy and create drama, which I think is really just gross. Anyways, Matt was on a podcast and he was talking with First Class Fatherhood. And First Class Fatherhood, I don't really know a whole lot about him. He has done interviews with Derek Dillard and John Gosselin, other reality television show dads. And, I couldn't really understand his angle. I mean, I kind of could, but I kind of didn't. It felt really awkward that he asked the question about this, but at the same time, I suppose he couldn't leave the elephant in the room. But he asked Matt really just about everything that Jacob had put out and sort of what the impact was on the family and really what his thoughts were. If you remember, Jacob in his statement basically said that this whole process with this specific producer had taken place for years, and he had been grooming him for years, and that he had considered speaking out about it in 2015 or so, I think he said, but he didn't. Now, in this interview, Matt says this.
We had no idea, and he obviously explained that this had happened back in 2015. It was a single incident. It didn't happen on the farm. Happened, off the farm, and he, it's one of those things where you think you've braced your family and you prepared your kids for things like that, and you talk to them about it regularly. We had some other scares in the early days when everybody was young, and we were very protective. Particularly, we were worried about Molly becoming involved in something. We had when we did the show, we had a number of fans that were overzealous to get to various members of the family that they were fixated on, and so we always thought something bad would come from somebody. We didn't realize it would be somebody so close. So the Jacob thing was heartbreaking, a lot of tears, but we were also very, 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 very proud of Jacob and the way that he came out and talked about his, getting this off his mind and chest so that he could develop and continue his growth. I think were his words. His post said it all.
So basically, Matt says that Jacob, what happened to him was one time, and he said it happened in 2015, but that really doesn't make sense because Jacob's statement doesn't seem to match that. Jacob's statement from December says that it is often much easier to think about things than it is to talk about them, and so the disclosure has been delayed, but through that delay, I have found the fortitude in words. As a child, after what I realize now was a very long grooming process, I was by an executive field producer for Little People Big World, essayed Chris Cardamon. I do not expect to provide details of this encounter to the point publicly. I do hope that he is never allowed around children again. I first began contemplating this statement when he texted me years later in 2015. I chose to disclose it now as it remains a traumatic memory that needs to be exercised of any further power over my development. So he said he started thinking about releasing this statement in 2015, years after everything happened in 2015. So I don't believe it happened in 2015 because if it would have happened in 2015, Jacob would have been 18 years old. So I don't know if Matt just got the dates wrong or if he just doesn't want to think that it happened when he was a kid. And then I also just thought it was weird because Matt was basically like, well, it didn't really happen on the farm. It happened off the farm. And then he also was like, and you try to make sure that your kids, understand and are aware. And I'm sitting here thinking is he blaming Jacob for this? Is he minimizing that because it didn't happen on his property, he had no idea. And is he trying to suggest that it's Jacob's fault because Jacob somehow got involved with this guy that he was around because his parents were on a show, and that somehow because of that involvement and being with that guy, that Jacob could have done something differently. And then really just sort of like acting like, well, it was just a one-time thing and Jacob is healing and this and that. And it's like, really, Matt? Really? And no discussion about TLC. I think he was really trying to put in some distance between TLC and, you know, the show, like almost like, well, this happened when the show wasn't on air, or this happened when the show wasn't filming, so it's not really about the show. Or maybe he's trying to protect himself with the show, or maybe protect himself from any culpability here. I mean, it's not his fault that this man did this to his child. I mean, these men that do this kind of stuff are skilled. They groom the whole family. They manipulate the whole family. They gain access to the whole family. They befriend and they build trust. It felt like he is either trying to be really sensitive to Jacob, or he's struggling to understand the magnitude, or he just doesn't want to acknowledge that his point in the family's decision to be on the show put his son in danger. I mean, he even said that there was fans that were so scary that he thought something bad was going to happen. And as I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, wait a minute. So you knew that you had all of these fans that were scary and doing all these things, and they were fixated on your children, and you still kept filming despite all of that? Not to mention, the show basically breaks up your marriage. It has 2 of your children leaving the show, 3 of them leaving the show, all of them having different takes on their experience on the show, most of which was not positive, and yet they continue filming the show. And I'm sitting here like, is money honestly more important than your children and the safety of your children and the protection of your children and honoring your children and not blaming your children? I think honestly, this is why Jacob is so angry about reality television, not just at the producers, but at the fact that his parents are involved in this and it's impacted him and his family and his siblings. At what point do we stop feeding these narcissistic parents who are bound by money and fame, who have no qualms about exploiting every aspect of their child's lives, to the extent that he goes on an interview and feels comfortable acting like it was really kind of not that big of a deal? Now, maybe I'm overreacting because I'm so sensitive to all the other garbage that's going on to TLC, and if I am, like, tell me in the comments. But I would love to hear what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.